everyone. This is NP Raju, faculty at ACE Engineering Academy. I have been associated with ACE Engineering Academy since 2014. I teach thermodynamics for GATE and engineering services examinations. I have total 10 years of experience in teaching thermodynamics in GATE as well as engineering services examination. Now I am going to give detailed solutions for GATE 21 mechanical engineering for thermodynamics. Mechanical engineering thermodynamics GATE 2021. First we will be seeing forenoon session, then we will be seeing afternoon session. Now let us solve this problem. A rigid insulated tank is initially evacuated. It is connected through a valve to a supply line that carries air. Air is given at a constant pressure. This problem is unsteady flow problem. Same problem I have solved in the deep learn. Same problem. Everything same, only values are different. Same problem I have solved. This problem is based on unsteady flow. So I have given the derivation of unsteady flow and I have solved the same problem I have solved. So insulated, rigid and insulated, initially evacuated. So air is flowing, supply line, there is a supply line that carries air at constant pressure and temperature. 250 kilopascal and 400 Kelvin is given. In the supply line, the pressure is 250 kilopascal, 400 Kelvin respectively. Now the valve is opened and air is allowed to flow into the tank until the pressure inside the tank reaches 250 kilopascal. At which point the valve is closed. Same to same, everything same, same problem we have solved. Assuming that air behaves as ideal gas. We have told perfect gas or ideal gas both are same. He said air behaves as perfect gas. In our classroom session, that is in the deep learn session, I have explained perfect gas, that is nothing but ideal gas only. Air behaves as perfect gas, he said, that is nothing but ideal gas only. CV is given, R is given. The final temperature of air inside the tank, dash Kelvin he is asking. Please concentrate, he is asking Kelvin. The final temperature of air. The final temperature of air inside the tank is in Kelvin. We have to find the temperature in Kelvin. So this is the given question. Now let us take a rough diagram. With the same diagram, I have explained the concept. I have derived one equation. I have derived. What is the equation? T2 is equal to gamma times of Ti. My dear students, did you remember? This equation I have derived in the deep learn session. Same problem. Air is flowing in the supply pipeline. This is supply pipeline. Initially, it is evacuated. He said initially evacuated, rigid and insulated. It is insulated tank, rigid and insulated, initially evacuated. It is connected through a valve to a supply line that carries air. So in this problem, air is flowing in the pipeline, supply pipeline, air is flowing. So this is initial condition. Initially in the tank, there is no mass, it is evacuated. There is nothing in the tank. Initially there is nothing in the tank, that is evacuated. So now the final situations, it is final situation. Now the valve is opened. If the valve is opened, air enters into the tank. If the valve is opened, air enters into the tank. After air has entered into the tank, what is the temperature? He is asking. What is the temperature? He is asking. So complete derivation already we have seen. Initially insulated, initially evacuated and insulated container, rigid container, and finally it is the air is entering into the tank. The after air has entered into the tank, what is the final temperature? Already I have derived this equation. This equation T2 is gamma times of Ti. This equation I have derived in the deep learning session. Derivation I have taken. So T2 is equal to gamma times Ta. T2, what is T2? Final temperature of air in the tank. The final temperature of air in the tank is T2. Gamma is adiabatic index. That is for air it is 1.4. And Ta, what is Ta? Temperature, the temperature at which air is flowing. The temperature at which air is flowing in the supply pipeline. Otherwise the temperature at which air is entering into the tank. The temperature at which air is entering into the tank or the temperature at which air is flowing in the supply pipeline. Each and everything we have discussed in crystal clear manner in the classroom. So Ti is nothing but temperature of air. How much is given? Temperature of air 400 Kelvin is given. Ti is 400 Kelvin given in the problem. So directly I am substituting. So T2, and I told my dear students, please carefully observe. I said temperatures must be in Kelvin. T2 must be in Kelvin. Ti also must be in Kelvin. Temperatures must be in Kelvin. You can refer to my derivation in the deep learning session. Temperatures must be in Kelvin, I said. So gamma of air is 1.4. Air is given. For air it is 1.4. Gamma is 1.4. Ti 400 Kelvin. Temperatures must be in Kelvin. It is 400 Kelvin. So T2 we will be getting in Kelvins. Therefore, if we calculate T2, it is going to be 560 Kelvin. So this is the temperature of air after air has entered into the tank, can be calculated by using this relation. So T2 is equal to gamma times of Ta. So T2 is, this is the temperature of air after air has entered into the tank. So this problem is based on unsteady flow problem. If you look at this problem, it seems to be very lengthy, but the same derivation I have done in the class and same problem also I have solved. So it seems to be very lengthy problem. It is a simple problem, straight problem. It is a simple and straight problem based on unsteady flow. So this type of container we have taken. So initially evacuated, now the valve is opened, the air is entering. So final condition we have seen. So this is the unsteady flow problem. The final temperature is 560 Kelvin. Now let us solve this problem. So the relative humidity phi is equal to PV by PVS. PV is partial pressure of water vapor and PVS is saturation pressure of water vapor. See, both are water vapors only. PV is partial pressure of water vapor divided by the partial pressure of water, vapor under saturated conditions. PVS is pressure of water vapor under saturated condition, and this he has told simply P saturation. Partial pressure of water vapor is PV and saturation pressure of water vapor simply he said Psat. Psat. That's why now this I am going to write it as Psat. Since he has given in the examination the saturation pressure of water vapor, simply he said Psat. That's why this is saturation pressure of water vapor. This I have replaced with P saturation. Now let us proceed. He has given relative humidity 50%. 50% means it is 0.5. 50% relative humidity 50% is equal to 0.5. Relative humidity 50%, that is 0.5, is equal to PV by Psat. So from this equation you can write PV is equal to 0.5 times of saturation pressure. Therefore, PV can be written as 0.5 times of P saturation. So if you check the options A, B, C, D, option A, PV is equal to 2 times of P saturation, B, PV is equal to 0.622 P saturation, C, PV is equal to P saturation, D, PV is equal to 0.5 times of P saturation. This is the Correct answer, correct option for this question. PV is equal to, look at here, PV is equal to 0.5 times of P saturation. PV is equal to 0.5 times of P saturation. So I think this problem is clear to you. The final equation is PV is equal to, PV is equal to 0.5 times of P saturation. So for this problem, answer is option D. Now let us solve this problem. Consider a steam power plant operating on an ideal reheat Rankine cycle. In the problem, it is given ideal reheat Rankine cycle. First, let us write down the data, then we will analyze the problem. And before we start analyzing the problem, let us draw a rough diagram of ideal reheat Rankine cycle. This is a rough diagram of ideal reheat Rankine cycle. This is temperature entropy diagram of ideal reheat Rankine cycle. First, let us write the data. The work input to the pump is 20 kilojoule per kg. Work input to the pump. The work output of the high pressure turbine 750 and low pressure turbine is 1500 kilojoule per kg. High pressure turbine, work output of high pressure turbine 750 kilojoule per kg and low pressure turbine is 1500 kilojoule per kg. Work output of low pressure turbine 1500 kilojoule per kg. It is 750, it is 1500. The thermal efficiency of the cycle is 50%. Thermal efficiency is given of the cycle, thermal efficiency 50%. The enthalpy of saturated liquid and saturated vapor at condenser pressure. Everything we will be discussing in the detailed manner, do not worry. The enthalpies are given corresponding to condenser pressure. At condenser pressure, enthalpies are given 200 saturated liquid and saturated vapor. Respectively, the quality of steam at the exit of the low pressure turbine dash percentage. Okay, round off to the nearest integer. Okay, first let us write the enthalpy is corresponding to the condenser pressure, he said. Saturated liquid and saturated vapor respectively. Saturated liquid is designated as HF and saturated vapor is designated by HJ. Saturated liquid is given, saturated liquid and saturated vapor respectively. Saturated liquid 200 kilojoule per kg and saturated vapor, it is 2600 kilojoule per kg. So these enthalpies are given corresponding to the saturation, corresponding to the condenser pressure. Okay, fine. Now he said the quality of steam at the exit of low pressure turbine. Exit of low pressure turbine. Quality of steam is nothing but dryness fraction or quality of steam, both are same. quality of steam at exit of low pressure turbine. Okay, this is what given data. Now let us analyze the problem. First, I am going to take the rough diagram of ideal reheat Rankine cycle. You know very well, this is saturated liquid line, this is saturated vapor line, and this region is liquid, and here it is liquid plus vapor region, it is vapor region. Let us consider this is point 1, this is point 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. This point is point 1, this is point 2, this is point 3, this is point 4, this is point 5, this is point 6. So in the reheat Rankine cycle, there are two turbines. One is high pressure turbine and another one is low pressure turbine. 1 to 2 expansion in the high pressure turbine, and 3 to 4 is expansion in the low pressure turbine. And this 2 to 3 process is called reheating. This 2 to 3 is reheating process. Reheating takes place at constant pressure. So 1 to 2 high pressure turbine expansion, 2 to 3 constant pressure reheating, 3 to 4 low pressure turbine expansion, and 4 to 5 this is heat rejection. Heat rejection in the condenser, and 5 to 6 pumping process, and 6 to 1 this is heat supply in the boiler. So this is the TS diagram for ideal reheat Rankine cycle. This diagram you know very well for the reheat Rankine cycle. So 1 to 2 high pressure turbine expansion, 3 to 4 is low pressure turbine expansion. So what was the question in the problem? Quality of steam at exit of low pressure turbine. Where is the exit of low pressure turbine? Point 4. This is the point. This is the point 4. At this point, he is asking what is the dryness fraction. Inlet to the high pressure turbine is 0.1 and exit of high pressure turbine is 0.2. Inlet to the low pressure turbine is 0.3 and exit of low pressure turbine 0.4. I repeat, so he is asking exit of low pressure turbine, dryness fraction, the quality of steam at exit of low pressure turbine. So exit of low pressure turbine is 0.4. I think up to now it is clear. You may be having doubt. Sir, it is ideal reheat Rankine cycle. For ideal reheat Rankine cycle, the 0.4 should be 1. That is, dryness fraction at 0.4 should be equal to 1. You may be asking, my dear students, for ideal cycle, it may be equal to 1 because this is dry saturated vapor line. This is dry saturated vapor line. So 0.2 on the dry saturated vapor line, 0.4 also it is on the dry saturated vapor line. So for ideal cycle, directly you think that this point will be equal to 1, dry saturated vapor, x is equal to 1. You may be thinking at 0.4 x is equal to 1. But deliberately, purposely he is asking what is the dryness fraction at 0.4, exit of low pressure turbine. Since he is asking, now let us solve and let us check. You may be correct. You may be correct. X4 directly straight away it should be equal to 1. But we don't know. We don't know. Why he is asking, we don't know. Now let us find and confirm. Suppose x is equal to 1, yes, it is dry saturated vapor. Suppose x you are getting less than 1, it is saturated mixture of liquid vapor, or it is also called wet steam. Now let us check. So actually we want to find dryness fraction at 0.4. Dryness fraction at 0.4, that is x4 to be calculated. So pump work is given, high pressure turbine work is given, low pressure turbine work is given, thermal efficiency is given 50%. To find dryness fraction at 0.4, first we need enthalpy at 0.4. Remember, to find dryness fraction at 0.4, we need to find enthalpy at 0.4. If you have enthalpy at 0.4, you can find the dryness fraction at 0.4. So now first I am going to calculate W net because low pressure turbine work is given, high pressure turbine work is given. Now I am going to calculate turbine work. I am going to calculate turbine work. What is turbine work here? turbine work is equal to low pressure turbine plus high pressure turbine. The total turbine work is equal to low pressure turbine work plus high pressure turbine work, because two turbines here there are low pressure and high pressure. So the total turbine work, the total expansion in the turbine work 122 plus 324, that is 122 high pressure turbine and this is low pressure turbine. So now let us substitute. Low pressure turbine 1500, high pressure turbine 750. High pressure turbine 750. Low pressure turbine it is 1500, high pressure turbine 750. So this is total turbine work. This is total turbine work. So 1500 plus 750. So 1500 plus 700, it is 2200. 2200 plus 50, 2250. So this is total turbine work, 2250 kilojoule per kg. Now let's calculate net work output. What is net work output? W turbine minus W pump. W net is equal to W turbine minus W pump, because pump work is given in the problem. So W net is equal to W turbine minus W pump. Already W turbine we have and W pump is given in the problem. So W net is equal to W turbine. What is W turbine? 20 to 50. W pump is 20 kilojoule, I think. W pump is given 20 kilojoule. So therefore, W net is equal to 20 to 30 kilojoule per kg. So this is W net, net work output. And we know thermal efficiency is equal to output by input. Output is W net, input is heat supply. So it can be written as thermal efficiency of Rankine cycle. Thermal efficiency of Rankine cycle or reheat Rankine cycle. Simply we can write thermal efficiency output by input, that is W net by heat supply. Thermal efficiency is given, W net we know, we can calculate heat supply. This can also be written as, what is W net? Thermal efficiency is equal to output by input. Output is W net, input is heat supply. What is W net? What is network output? W turbine minus W pump divided by heat supply. But which is also equal to thermal efficiency can also be written as, W net can also be written as, we will see, W net can also be written as heat supply minus heat rejection. Remember, W net can also be written as heat supply minus heat rejection. So heat supply minus heat rejection by heat supply, that is also equal to 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply. This is also equal to 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply, we will see. So here thermal efficiency 50%, that is 0.5 is equal to W net. W net 2230 by heat supply. If you calculate heat supply is going to be 4460. 4460 kilojoule per kg. This is heat supply. So this thermal efficiency can also be written as 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply, because thermal efficiency is W net by heat supply. W net can also be written as, we have seen in thermodynamics, W net can also be written as heat supply minus heat rejection. Heat supply minus heat rejection by heat supply. W net can be written as heat supply minus heat rejection divided by heat supply. So this can also be written as 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply. This can also be written as 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply. So thermal efficiency is given 0.5 is equal to 1 minus heat rejection by heat supply. What is heat supply? Heat supply is 4460. If you calculate heat rejection, it is going to be, heat rejection is going to be 2230. Heat rejection is going to be 2230. And where heat rejection takes place? In the condenser. Where is the condenser? In the cycle, the reheat Rankine cycle. In the reheat Rankine cycle, where heat rejection takes place? In the condenser. So 425 is condenser. You know very well, 425 is condenser. 621 is boiler. 425 is condenser. In the condenser, heat rejection takes place. So this heat rejection in the condenser is equal to H4 minus H5. You know very well, heat rejection in the condenser is equal to H4 minus H5. Heat rejection in the condenser is equal to H4 minus H5. H4 minus H5. Heat rejection, how much? 2230 is equal to H4 minus H5. What is H4 and what is H5? Look at here. What is H4? What is H5? What is H4? What is H4? Actually, this is the enthalpy we are looking for. H4, actually, we are looking for H4. Now, what is H5? This is enthalpy of saturated liquid. Because this is saturated liquid line, 0.6 is saturated liquid point. So, H5 is enthalpy of saturated liquid. This is enthalpy of saturated liquid. In the problem, it is given corresponding to condenser pressure, that is 425, condenser pressure 425. This is condenser, 425 condenser, corresponding to condenser pressure, the enthalpies are given. So saturated liquid enthalpy is 200 and saturated vapor is 2600. So saturated liquid, that is H5 is 200. H5 is 200. I hope it is clear. Why H4 is 200? Sorry, H5 is 200 because H5 is saturated liquid. Saturated liquid. So H4 minus 200. So H4, if you calculate H4, it is going to be 2430 kilojoule per kg. This is H4. So now we have got H4. H4 is 2430 kilojoule per kg. So actually we want to find dryness fraction at 0.4, that is quality of steam. Let us consider 0.4 is liquid plus vapor mixture. We do not know. Let us consider H4 is liquid plus vapor mixture, that is wet steam. So enthalpy of wet steam. What is enthalpy of wet steam? HF plus X into Hg minus H4. Hg minus HF. Enthalpy of wet steam is equal to HF plus X into Hg minus HF. So H4, let us consider enthalpy of wet steam. HF plus X into Hg minus HF. So which point? 0.4. This is at 0.4. That's why HF4, X4, Hg4 minus HF4, or simply Hg minus HF at 0.4. Hg minus HF at 0.4. Now let us substitute. What is H4? 2430. HF. What is HF? Enthalpy of saturated saturated liquid corresponding to condenser pressure. Enthalpy of saturated liquid, how much it is? 200. X4 to be calculated. Hg. What is Hg? Corresponding to condenser. 0.4 is condenser pressure. 0.4 is condenser pressure. So, enthalpy of dry saturated vapor is Hg. Enthalpy of saturated liquid is Hf. And these values, Hf and Hg, these values are corresponding to condenser pressure which have been already given in the problem. So, Hg is given in the problem. Hf is 200 kilojoule per kg, Hg is 2600, enthalpy of saturated vapor, enthalpy of saturated liquid, 2600, Hg is 2600 minus 200. I repeat. H4 already we know, we have substituted. So, Hf is enthalpy of saturated liquid corresponding to condenser pressure, and Hg is enthalpy of dry saturated vapor or enthalpy of saturated vapor corresponding to condenser pressure. So, these values already given, we have substituted. Only unknown is X4. Let's calculate X4. If you calculate X4, it is 0.9291. 9291, or you can write X4 is equal to 92.91%. So, this is the dryness fraction of steam after expansion in the low pressure turbine or exit of low pressure turbine. So, you are getting 92.91, that is 92%. 92%. I told dryness fraction what it represents. It represents water vapor percentage. Dryness fraction represents water vapor percentage. So, 92% of water is there and rest of the thing is liquid. So, it actually 92% of vapor. It is not completely dry saturated vapor. That's why he is asking, deliberately he is asking dryness fraction at exit of low pressure turbine. Hope it is clear. So, in the problem he is asking at exit of low pressure turbine, the quality of steam at the exit of low pressure turbine is dash percentage. So, we have calculated 92 point, it is percentage. In the percentage he is asking, it is 92.91%. So, this is the answer for this problem. Hope it is clear to you. Now, let us solve this problem. Superheated steam at 1500 kilopascal has a specific volume 2.75 meter cube per kilomole is given. Superheated steam is given. Pressure is 1500 kilopascal. Specific volume is given 2.75 meter cube per kilomole is given. And we have seen in the classes, meter cube per kilomole. What is this? Molar volume. Volume of gas divided by number of moles. We have already seen. So, that is molar volume is given, pressure is given. And compressibility factor Z is given 0.95. The temperature of steam dash degree centigrade to be calculated. So, these are the options A, B, C, D. For ideal gas, we have seen different equations. 4 ideal gas equations we have seen. PV is equal to RT, specific volume, in terms of specific volume. PV is equal to MRT in terms of mass. P is equal to rho RT in terms of density, and we have seen PV is equal to N R bar T in terms of number of moles. We have seen like this, PV is equal to N R bar T. This equation already we have seen. This is in terms of number of moles, where N is number of moles. P is pressure, V is volume, total volume, P is absolute pressure, V is total volume, N is number of moles, R bar is molar gas constant, which is also called universal gas constant, T is absolute temperature. All these things we have seen in the lectures, in the deep learning lectures. Here there is a compressibility factor. So, this is for ideal gases. For real gas, there is a factor that is called compressibility factor. First, let us say this equation. So this equation can also be written as this equation which we have seen for ideal gas. This is for ideal gas. This is for ideal gas. This can be also written as P into volume by N. N I have brought to left hand side, V by N is equal to RT, R by T. Sorry. So what we have done? This number of moles I have brought to left hand side. So PV, PV. So N I have brought to this side. So R bar T. Again, if you cross multiply, PV is equal to N R bar T. This V by N, volume of gas divided by number of moles, which we have already studied, that's called molar volume. It is denoted by V bar. P into V bar is equal to, this is V bar, V by N is V bar, volume of gas divided by number of moles, this is V bar, is equal to R bar T. So this equation already we have seen. This is for ideal gases. For real gases, there is one factor that's called compressibility factor. P V bar is equal to Z R bar T. This is for real gases. And for real gases, there is a factor that is called compressibility factor. Z is equal to 1. Remember, Z is equal to 1. If you substitute Z is equal to 1, again we will be getting P V bar is equal to R bar T. So that is for ideal gas. So for ideal gas, Z is equal to 1. For ideal gas, Z is equal to 1. Again, you will be getting same equation. If Z is equal to 1, again you will be getting the same equation. This equation, that is for ideal gas. But this is for real gas. So in the problem, everything is given, only temperature to be calculated. And you know very well, temperature is in Kelvin. In this equation, PV is equal to MRT or PV is equal to N R bar T. So in this equation, temperature must to be in Kelvin. Already I told so many times, temperature must be in Kelvin. So in this equation, temperature must be in Kelvin. Now let's substitute. Pressure 1500 kilopascal is given. Into V bar is given. It is V bar. 2.75 meter cube per kilomole. It is V bar. Molar volume. 2.75. Z is given 0.95. R bar, you know very well, R bar is 8.314. 8.314. I have derived actually how the value of R bar 8.314 we are getting, how we are getting 8.314. I have derived R bar in our lectures, yes or no? I have derived 8.314 already I have derived in the previous lectures. So what is the unit of R bar also I have given? What is the unit of R bar? R bar 8.314 I have told like this. It is R bar is 8.314. It is kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin. It is 8.314 kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin. And also I told R bar can also be written as 8.314. It can also be written as joule per mole Kelvin. These things already I explained in our lectures. Because if you look at here, this is kilojoule, numerator is kilojoule. Numerator is kilojoule, denominator is kilomole. So kilo can be cancelled out. I repeat. So kilojoule by kilomole Kelvin. So kilo can be cancelled out. So it can be expressed in terms of joule per mole Kelvin. So these things already explained in the class. So R bar can be written as 8.314 kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin, or simply it can be expressed in terms of joule per mole Kelvin. Both will be same only. Both will be same only. Now here 8.314. Now I am substituting in kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin only, because pressure is in kilopascal. All these things we have discussed. All these things we have discussed. So pressure kilopascal. So R bar is kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin. So 8.314 kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin into T, into temperature. So if you calculate temperature, temperature will be in Kelvin, because in this equation, ideal gas equation, temperature must be Kelvin. So in Kelvin, it is 522.26. 522.26, it is Kelvin. If you convert into degree centigrade, (522.26) minus 273. You know how to convert degree centigrade into Kelvin, or Kelvin to degree centigrade, minus 273. Therefore, the final temperature, the temperature in degree centigrade, it is 249.26. 249.26. It is degree centigrade. So in the problem, temperature is asked in degree centigrade, 249.26. Let us check the options. 249.26. 249.26. Sorry. 249.26 degree centigrade. So it is matching with 249. It is matching with option A. It is 471, 522. It is 198. It is matching with option A. Therefore, for this problem, answer is option A. So for ideal gas, PV is equal to N R bar T in terms of number of moles. For real gas, Z will come into picture. That is compressibility factor. In this problem, compressibility factor is given. This is to be taken into the account. So for this problem, answer is option A. Now let us analyze this problem. In which of the following pairs of cycles, both cycles have at least one isothermal process? So he is asking, at least there should be one isothermal process. So he said pairs of cycles, A, B, C, D. These are the options given. So option A, Brayton cycle and Rankine cycle. So likewise, they have given some cycles. So Brayton cycle. First, let us see option A, Brayton cycle and Rankine cycle. What is Brayton cycle? Brayton cycle, which is also called Joule cycle. This cycle is used in gas turbines. So in Brayton cycle, used in gas turbines, Brayton cycle consists of two constant pressure processes and two reversible adiabatic processes. In Brayton cycle, there is no isothermal process. So here, constant pressure heat supply, constant pressure heat rejection. So two constant pressure, this is reversible adiabatic compression, this is reversible adiabatic expansion. Two reversible adiabatics, two constant pressure. In this cycle, Brayton cycle, there is no isothermal process. He said at least one isothermal process. No, Brayton cycle is not correct answer. Brayton cycle is not correct answer. So since Brayton cycle is not correct answer, straight away option A, you can leave it. Option A is straight away, it is wrong only. But anyway, let us check Rankine cycle. What is Rankine cycle? Rankine cycle is used in steam power plants. So this is Rankine cycle. In the Rankine cycle, there are so many varieties of cycles are there. So simple Rankine cycle, superheat Rankine cycle, reheat Rankine cycle, regenerative Rankine cycle. But I have taken simple Rankine cycle. This is TS diagram, temperature entropy diagram of simple Rankine cycle. So in simple Rankine cycle, here two constant pressure, two reversible adiabatic. Here 421 constant pressure heat supply. This is constant pressure, 421 constant pressure heat supply, and 223 constant pressure heat rejection. So these two are constant pressure processes. In Rankine cycle, heat supply, heat rejection take place at constant pressure. And this is turbine expansion, isentropic expansion in the turbine 1 to 2, and 3 to 4 isentropic pumping process. 3 to 4 is the pump. So again, two isentropic, two constant pressure. Here there is no constant temperature process. My dear students, during phase change, temperature may be constant. Please try to understand, during phase change, temperature may be constant. Because here, phase change starts here, phase change completes here. So during phase change, temperature constant only, but throughout the process, temperature is not constant. Throughout the process, it's constant pressure heat supply. Similarly, throughout the process, it is constant pressure heat rejection. During phase change, temperature may be constant, but in Rankine cycle, heat supply and heat rejection take place at constant pressure only. So that's why Rankine cycle is also wrong. I think it is clear. I think it is clear. So option A is wrong. Option B, Carnot cycle and Stirling cycle. So Carnot cycle, you know very well. Carnot cycle is the ideal cycle for heat engines. So Carnot cycle consists of two reversible isothermal and two reversible adiabatic processes. So reversible isothermal heat supply and reversible isothermal heat rejection. So these two are reversible isothermal, that is constant temperature. And this is reversible adiabatic expansion and this is reversible adiabatic compression. So Carnot cycle consists of two reversible isothermal and two reversible adiabatic. So here constant temperature is there. Carnot cycle, there is constant temperature is there. And Stirling cycle, he said Carnot cycle and Stirling cycle. So this is Stirling cycle. In Stirling cycle also, heat supply, heat rejection take place at constant temperature. Two constant temperature and two constant volume. Stirling cycle, two constant temperature. This is PV diagram. This is PV diagram. Two constant temperature and two constant volume. This is Stirling cycle. And there will be Ericsson cycle also. In this question, options Ericsson cycle is not given. In Ericsson cycle, two constant temperature, two constant pressures will be there. Two constant temperature, two constant volume, Stirling cycle. Two constant temperature, two constant pressure, that will be Ericsson cycle. So here, in this problem, so he said Ericsson cycle. So this is PV diagram of Ericsson cycle. In Ericsson cycles also, there is constant temperature process. This is PV diagram. This is not TS diagram. It is PV diagram. So this is constant temperature heat supply and this is constant temperature heat rejection. In Stirling cycle also, there is constant temperature process. In the Carnot cycle, there is constant temperature and in the Stirling cycle also, there is constant temperature. So it must be option B. Option B must be correct. Let us check C and D also. Let us check C and D also. So C, he said Bell-Coleman cycle and vapor compression refrigeration cycle. What is Bell-Coleman cycle? Bell-Coleman cycle is used in the air refrigeration cycle, which is also called gas refrigeration cycle. And Bell-Coleman cycle, again, it consists of two constant pressure, two reversible adiabatic. And vapor compression refrigeration cycle. So in the refrigeration, so there is one cycle, that is vapor compression refrigeration cycle. In again vapor compression refrigeration cycle, there are two constant pressure processes. One is isenthalpic throttling process, and another one is so constant pressure heat absorption in the evaporator and constant pressure heat rejection in the condenser. And throttle valve, it is isenthalpic throttling, and compressor, it is isentropic compression. Now let us see Bell-Coleman cycle. Bell-Coleman cycle. So two constant pressure, two reversible adiabatic. It is used in the air refrigeration cycle. And here in Bell-Coleman cycle, there is no constant temperature, there is no isothermal. And vapor compression cycle. So here 122 isentropic compression. It is isentropic compression, constant pressure heat rejection and constant pressure heat absorption from the evaporator. Constant pressure heat absorption from the evaporator, and it is constant pressure heat rejection in the condenser. So these two are constant pressure. So 421 constant pressure, 223 constant pressure, 122 isentropic, and 324 throttling process. In throttling, enthalpy remains constant. This is isenthalpic throttling process, and throttling is irreversible. That's why it is dotted line. So irreversible process, that's why throttling is irreversible. That's why it is dotted line. So in vapor compression cycle also, there is no constant temperature. There is no isothermal process. So that is option C also wrong. C also wrong. Next, diesel cycle and Otto cycle. You know very well, diesel cycle. It is used in the diesel engines. Otto cycle, it is used in the petrol engines. So Otto cycle, what is Otto cycle? Otto cycle consists of two constant volume, two reversible adiabatic. And diesel cycle consists of one constant pressure, one constant volume, and other two reversible adiabatic processes. So diesel cycle. So one constant pressure, one constant volume, two reversible adiabatic process. One constant pressure heats heat supply, constant volume heat rejection, and two reversible adiabatic. One is compression, another is expansion. So this is diesel cycle. In diesel cycle also there is no constant temperature. There is no isothermal process. Similarly, Otto cycle also there is no constant temperature. Two constant volume, two reversible adiabatic. Constant volume heat supply, constant volume heat rejection, two reversible adiabatic processes. So in the Otto cycle also there is no constant temperature process. So from the options, option D also wrong. Option D also wrong. So there is only one option correct. In the ABCD, there is only one option correct. That is option B is correct answer. For this problem, is asking at least one isothermal process should be present. It should be there in the cycle. So from these options, answer is option B. Now let us solve this problem. An air conditioning system. He said air conditioning system. This problem is a little bit lengthy problem, but it is a simple question. It is a simple question only. An air conditioning system provides a continuous flow of air to a room using an intake duct and exit duct. Shown in the figure. Diagram is given. In this problem, there is a diagram. Do not worry. Diagram is given. To maintain the quality of the indoor air, the intake duct supplies a mixture of fresh air with a cold air stream. The two streams are mixed in insulated mixing chamber. He said insulated mixing chamber. Here there is a room. In this room there is air conditioning system. So here there is a duct. Before the room there is a duct. In the duct, here cold air is entering and here some fresh air is entering. Here cold air is entering and fresh air is entering, and both are mixing in the insulated chamber. He said insulated mixing chamber, which is located upstream of the intake duct. So this is intake duct through which the air is entering into the room. The intake duct supplies air to the room, and before intake duct, he said there are two streams. One is cold air is entering, another is fresh air is entering, and cold air and fresh air both are mixing in the insulated chamber. He said insulated mixing chamber. This is insulated. Okay. He says cold air enters at a rate of 1.25 meter cube per second. During steady state operation, please try to understand here steady state is given, steady state operation, that is nothing but steady flow process we have seen. What is steady flow process? We have seen steady flow process, the rate at which it is entering, at the same rate it is leaving. So m dot 1 will be equal to m dot 2. All these things we will be discussing. So these things already we have seen. Steady flow, what is steady flow? All these things we have seen. So this is the volume flow rate of the cold air. Fresh air enters the mixing chamber at 34 degrees centigrade and 105 kilopascals. The mass flow rate of the fresh air is 1.65 times. Fresh air mass flow rate is 1.6 times of the 1.6 times of the cold air. Air leaves the room through the exit duct. Exit duct temperature is 24 degrees centigrade. Assuming the air behaves as an ideal gas, with Cp is given, R is given. Okay, the rate of heat gain. The rate of heat gain by the air from the room in kilowatts. We have to calculate in kilowatts. We have to calculate in kilowatts. Do not worry. I repeat. Look at here. So here air is entering. Air is entering into the room. But before air is supplied to the room, air conditioning room, so there is an intake duct through which the air is entering into the room. And before intake duct, so cold air is entering, fresh air is entering, both are mixing in an insulated chamber, then it is entering. And exit air is also given. Air is leaving from the exit duct. This is room and air is leaving from the exit duct. Now let us write down the data. So he says cold air enters cold air enters 5 degrees, 105 kilopascal. Cold air, 5 degrees centigrade and 105 kilopascal. Five degrees and 105 kilopascal, and volume flow rate is also given 1.25 meter cube per second. Volume flow rate is, this is, let us say, for convenience I am giving some notations. For convenience I am giving some notations. Let us say this is, section 1. Let us say this is section 2. Let us say this is section 3. Let us say this is section 4. For convenience I am giving notations. So these notations, if you follow, it will be easy for us. It will be easy for us. Now, so this is T1. This is T1. So V1 is given. Volume flow rate is given. Volume flow rate 1.25. 1.25 meter cube per second. Cold air. These are the details of cold air. Steady state operation. Fresh air is entering 34 degrees centigrade. Fresh air means section 2. Section 2, 34 degrees centigrade. T2, 34 degrees centigrade. 105 kilopascals. Pressure at 2. 105 kilopascals. Okay. The mass flow rate of the fresh air is 1.6 times of the cold air. Mass flow rate of fresh air, that is at point 2. At point 2, mass flow rate is at section 2. Let us write separately. Mass flow rate at section 2 is 1.6 times of mass flow rate at section 1. I repeat. He said mass flow rate. He says the mass flow rate of the fresh air is 1.6 times of the cold air. Mass flow rate of fresh air is 1.6 times of the cold air. That is section 1. Section 2 mass flow rate is 1.6 into section 1. Section 2 mass flow rate is 1.6 into section 1. I think this is clear. This point is clear. Next, air leaves the room at 24 degrees centigrade. From the room, air is leaving 24 degrees centigrade. That is T4 is 24 degrees centigrade. T4, 24 degrees centigrade. Cp and R is given. So we have to calculate heat gain by the air from the room. By the air, heat gain by the air from the room. In kilowatts, we have to calculate. In the room, what is the heat gain by the air? Heat gain by the air in kilowatts. So air is entering into the room, air conditioning room. So what is the heat absorbed by the air or heat gained by the air in kilowatts to be calculated? Now let us analyze this problem. So this is the given data. Now let us analyze this problem. So here section 1 pressure, temperature, volume is given. Section 2 temperature, pressure is given, and mass flow rate he says 1.6 times of mass flow rate of section 1. So first let us find mass flow rate at section 1. Section 1 mass flow rate is not given. First let us find mass flow rate at section 1. It is ideal gas. Air is given. We know very well air is ideal gas. He also said air is ideal gas. So ideal gas, we can write PV is equal to MRT. Ideal gas, PV is equal to MRT. So pressure, suppose kilopascal, R should be kilojoule per kg Kelvin. These things already we know. We know all these things. So volume is meter cube. Volume is meter cube. Mass is kg. R is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Characteristic gas constant. Temperature must be in Kelvin. It is absolute temperature. Temperature must be in Kelvin. So if volume is meter cube, mass should be kg. If volume is meter cube per second, mass should be in the kg per second. Suppose volume is meter cube per second. Concentrate. Volume is meter cube per second. Mass should be in the kg per second. Or suppose mass is in kg per second, volume should be in the meter cube per second. So these second will be cancelled out. Here, second will be cancelled out. This is, again, volume will be in meter cube, mass will be in kg. I repeat. In PV is equal to MRT equation, suppose mass is kilogram, mass is kg, volume should be in meter cube only. Suppose mass is kg per second. If you substitute mass is kg per second, volume should be in meter cube per second. So again, second will be cancelled out both sides. So this will be in meter cube, this will be in kg. Hope it is clear. This equation will be clear. Hope this equation is clear. Okay. Now at section 1 I am writing. At section 1 I am writing. So P1, V1 is equal to M1 R T1. Anyway, R is constant. It is characteristic gas constant. Section 1 volume flow rate is given. Section 1 volume flow rate is given. So this is mass flow rate at section 1. If it is volume flow rate, it is mass flow rate. Okay. Now pressure at section 1, 105 kilopascals. Pressure into volume. Volume is 1.25. Volume flow rate 1.25 meter cube per second. PV is equal to M1 to be calculated. M dot 1 mass flow rate. MRT. R is 0.287. Pressure kilopascal. R should be kilojoule per kg Kelvin. We have told so many times. I have told so many times. So temperature must be in Kelvin. Temperature must be in Kelvin. So 5 degrees centigrade is given. 5 plus 273. It is 278. If you calculate mass flow rate at section 1, 1.645. kg per second. Hope it is clear up to now. Simply we have substituted all these things in the ideal gas equation. At section 1, we have applied ideal gas equation, and this is the mass flow rate at section 1. Now mass flow rate at section 2 is equal, this is the given condition. This is the given condition. Mass flow rate at section 2. This is the given. Now let's calculate mass flow rate at section 2. Mass flow rate at section 2 is 1.6 times of mass flow rate at section 1. Mass flow rate at section 2 is equal to 1.6 into mass flow rate section 1. What is mass flow rate section 1? 1.645. 1.645. If you calculate mass flow rate at section 2, mass flow rate at section 2, if you calculate, it is 2.632. 2.632. kg per second. So what we have done? We have first calculated mass flow rate at section 1, then we have calculated mass flow rate at section 2. So we have mass flow rate at section 1. At section 1, we have mass flow rate, section 2 also mass flow rate. So what will be the mass flow rate at section 3? Steady state, he has given steady state operation. For steady flow, entering mass should be equal to leaving mass. We know very well, for steady flow, entering mass should be equal to leaving mass. We have already studied all these things. We have seen all these things in our lectures, in deep learning lectures, all these things we have seen. So section 1, what is the mass flow rate entering? M dot 1 is entering. Section 2, what is the mass flow rate is entering? M dot 2 is entering. So what is the total mass entering at section 1, section 2? M dot 1 plus M dot 2. This is the total mass entering at 1 and 2. What should be the mass flow rate at section 3? M dot 3 should be equal to M dot 1 plus M dot 2. I repeat, for steady flow, entering mass should be equal to leaving mass. Here, what is the mass entering? Total mass entering, M dot 1 plus M dot 2. This is entering, total entering should be equal to leaving, m dot 3. So m dot 3 is equal to m dot 3 is equal to m dot 1 plus m dot 2. M dot 1, 1.645 plus m dot 2, 2.632. So if you calculate m dot 3 is equal to 4.27 kg per second. This is mass flow rate at section 3. So up to now, just mass flow rates only. We have seen mass flow rate. Section 1 we have seen, section 2 we have seen, section 3 just mass flow rates. So we have obtained mass flow rate at each and every section. But actually what we are looking for? We are looking for heat gain by the air. We are looking for heat gain by the air in kilowatts. So what is the heat gain by the air? It is nothing but, so in the room we will be applying steady-flow energy equation. So here air is entering continuously, air is leaving continuously. 3 to 4 steady-flow energy equation we will be applying. So when we apply steady-flow energy equations, we will be requiring temperatures. So we will be getting Q is equal to mCp T4 minus T3. So temperatures required. So mass flow rate we have obtained, temperatures required. So T4 is already given. Exit temperature of air is given. Exit temperature of air, that is at section 4 temperature is given, section 3 temperature is required. If you calculate temperature at section 3, we can calculate heat gained by the air in the room. So now how to find the temperature at section 3? We want to calculate temperature at section 3 to be calculated. If you calculate T3, over, problem is over. So how to calculate temperature at section 3? It is a steady flow process. We can apply steady flow energy equation, writing steady flow energy equation. So section 1, section 2, this is the total inlet. Section 3, exit. So now I am going to apply steady flow energy equation, writing steady flow energy equation. Steady flow energy equation, I have given 3 types of equations. Steady flow only, steady flow energy equation, 3 equations I have given. First equation, joule per kg, units are different. Second equation, kilojoule per kg. Third equation, kilojoule per second. Rate form, third equation is rate form. I am going to write steady flow energy equation in the rate form because mass flow rates are given. That's why I am writing rate form. In the rate form, I am going to write m dot 1. Section 1, I am writing m dot 1 V1 square by 2000 plus ZZ1 by 1000 plus H1. So kinetic potential enthalpy, this is at section 1. Similarly, section 2, m dot 2 V2 square by 2000 plus Z2 by 1000 okay, plus H3 plus heat transfer. So this is the complete steady flow energy equation. At inlet there are 2 streams. So steady flow energy equation for multi streams I have explained. How to write steady flow energy equation for multi streams I have explained. I have taken heat exchanger. In heat exchanger, there are 2 inlets. and there are 2 exits. So how to write steady flow energy equation for multi streams I have explained in deep learning class. So section 1 I have written, section 2 also I have written, should be equal to section 3. So I repeat, section 1, m dot kinetic potential enthalpy, section 1, m dot 2, this is m dot 1, m dot 2, section 1, m dot 1, section 2, m dot 2, kinetic potential enthalpy plus heat transfer. This is section 1 and section 2. This is the total inlet, should be equal to outlet. That is exit at section 3. At section 3, m dot 3 into V3 square by 2000 ZZ3 by 1000 plus H3 plus W. So this is the complete steady flow energy equation. M dot 1 into this one, this is section 1, m dot 2 into this one, section 2, this is H2, sorry, this is H2. This is H2. So section 2 plus heat transfer, rate of heat transfer, section 3, m dot 3 into this is V3, Z3, H3. So plus W, this is the total steady flow energy equation. So 2 inlets, 1 exit. So how to write steady flow energy equation for multi-streams, I already have explained. In the same manner, I have written here. So in the problem, he did not say any kinetic and potential energies. So many times I have explained. If kinetic energies are given, we will consider. Not given, we will neglect. Potential energies also, suppose given in the problem, we will consider. Not given, we will neglect. So kinetic potential not given, you know very well, we can neglect. So now kinetic potential, I am going to neglect. So many times I told kinetic potential not given can be neglected. Yes or no? Yes, neglected. So what is the equation? And here it is a mixing process. Look at here. It is a mixing process, adiabatic mixing process. Adiabatic mixing process, heat transfer 0 here. Adiabatic mixing process, heat transfer is straight away 0 because mixing is adiabatic mixing process. And here just it is a flow passage. Fluids are entering and fluids are mixing and leaving. So in this process, work transfer is straight away 0. Work transfer straight away 0. All these things I have explained. Nozzle W0 in the steady flow energy equation. Nozzle is given W0. Pipeline is given W0. Heat exchanger is given W0. Throttle valve is given W0. So it is a pipeline only. Fluids are mixing in the pipeline. Here it is entering, here also entering, here mixing and it is leaving. It is a just flow passage. It is a flow passage. So heat transfer insulated, that's why heat transfer 0. There is no work transfer. There is no work transfer. All these things we have studied. All these things we have seen. So W0 right now, the equation m dot 1 H1. The equation is m dot 1 H1 plus m dot 2 H2 is equal to m dot 3 H3. Get here, m dot 1 H1 plus m dot 2 H2 is equal to m dot 3 H3. That's all. This is the equation right now. Ideal gas is given, air is given, and air can be treated as ideal gas. Ideal gas is given. Ideal gas is given. Air is ideal gas. Air behaves as ideal gas. So for ideal gas, H is equal to CPT. We know very well H is equal to CPT. H is equal to CPT. H1 CPT1, H2 CPT2, H3 CPT3. So for air, ideal gas, H is equal to CPT. So H1 CPT1, m dot CPT1, m dot 2 CPT2 is equal to m dot 3 CPT3. Cp can be taken outside. Here, because Cp of air is constant, Cp of air is constant, Cp can be taken outside. So here Cp, this Cp can be taken outside, and here also, here there is Cp. Right side, left hand side, Cp can be cancelled out. I am cancelling Cp terms. I am cancelling Cp terms because Cp is constant. For air, Cp is constant. Now m dot 1 T1, m dot 1 T1 plus m dot 2 T2 is equal to m dot 3 T3. m dot 3 T3. Everything we have except T3 temperature. M dot 1 we have, T1 we have, m dot 2 we have, T2 we have, m dot 3 we have, T3 is unknown. Except T3, everything we know. Now T3 is equal to m dot 1 T1 plus m dot 2 T2 by m dot 3. So everything we have. We have everything. Now I am substituting, thereby we can calculate T3. But T3, look at here. If temperature T1, T2, T3, if T1, T2s are degree centigrade, T3 will be in degree centigrade. If T1, T2s are in Kelvin, T3 will be Kelvin. I repeat. If T1 is in degree centigrade, T2 is in degree centigrade, T3 will be in degree centigrade. If T1, T2 are in Kelvin, T3 will be in Kelvin. I think this is clear. Now let's substitute. T3 is equal to m dot 1. What is m dot 1? M dot 1, 1.645. 1.645. T1. This T1, temperature at section 1. Temperature at section 1, 5 degrees centigrade. I am substituting in degree centigrade. Plus m dot 2. M dot 2, 2.632. 2.632. T2. Temperature at 2. Temperature at 2, 34 degrees centigrade. Whole divided by m dot 1 T1 plus m dot 2 T2 whole divided by m dot 3. What is m dot 3? M dot 3, 4.27. 4.27. If you calculate T3, T3 will be in degree centigrade only. It is degree centigrade only. T3 is going to be 22.84 degree centigrade. Hope it is clear up to now. Just we have applied steady flow energy equation. Kinetic potential not given, neglected. So in this process, there will not be any work transfer since it is adiabatic mixing, heat transfer 0. So T3 you can calculate like this. T3 we have calculated. Everything we know. We know everything. Now directly you can calculate heat gained by air in the room. Again, we can apply steady flow energy equation to find heat transfer. In the room, heat gained by the air in the room, you can find by using steady flow energy equation, because continuously at 3 air is entering, continuously air is leaving at section 4. You can apply steady flow energy equation between 3 and 4. Again, in this room, there is here heat gain, there is heat transfer only. So just air is entering, air is leaving, work transfer will not be there, and kinetic potential energy is not given, so can be neglected. So kinetic potential can be neglected, work transfer will not be there because it is a flow passage only, work transfer will not be there. So directly I am writing heat gained by air, directly I am writing. Otherwise, you can write steady flow energy equation. Again, you will get the same equation. QA can be written as m dot mass flow rate into H4 minus H3. Mass flow rate remains constant. M dot 3 should be equal to m dot 4 because entering mass should be equal to steady flow process. Entering mass should be equal to leaving mass. M dot 3 must be equal to m dot 4. M dot 3 must be equal to m dot 4, and m dot into here, m dot into, that is heat gained by the air. If you write the steady flow energy equation, you will get m dot into H4 minus H3. If you write steady flow energy equation, heat gained by air is equal to m dot. Simply I am writing m dot because m dot 3 is equal to m dot 4 because steady flow process mass flow rate remains constant. Steady flow process mass flow rate remains constant. Simply I am writing m dot because 3 to 4 I am applying. Right now I am applying 3 to 4. In the room, I am going to apply the steady flow energy equation. So if you apply the steady flow energy equation for 3 to 4 process, m dot 3 to 4 mass flow rate remains constant, m dot into H4 minus H3. H4 minus H3. If you have doubt, you can apply steady flow energy equation and check it. Now I have written directly I have written because work transfer 0, kinetic potential can be neglected. So here ideal gas H is equal to CP T, H4 CP T4, H3 CP T3. So QA is equal to m dot mass flow rate Cp common, CpT4 minus CpT3. Cp is common. CpT4, CpT3, Cp is common. So this is the final equation. Everything we have everything. Now let us substitute heat gained by air. Heat gained by air is equal to mass flow rate. Mass flow rate section 3 we have. Mass flow rate section 3 we have. That is mass flow rate section 3, 4.27. 4.27. Cp of air is given. Cp of air is given 1.005. Cp of air is given. Cp of air is given 1.005 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Cp of air. Cp 1.005. Cp T4 minus T3. T4 is given. T3 we have calculated. T3 22.84. And exit temperature T4 24. T4 minus T3. T4 minus T3. 24 minus 22.84. 24 minus 22.84. If you calculate heat gained by the air, it is going to be 4.977 kilowatts. It will be in kilowatts. It will be in kilowatts because kg per second, mass flow rate, kg per second into Cp kilojoule per kg Kelvin into, I told so many times, delta T, this is temperature difference. Temperature difference, degree centigrade is equal to temperature difference in Kelvin. So many times I told delta T, this is temperature difference. Degree centigrade, Kelvin, both are same. I have explained in the class. So I am writing Kelvin. If you write degree centigrade also, it is correct only. Degree centigrade also correct. It is temperature difference. I have explained in the class. So now, if you check the units, Kelvin got cancelled. Kg got cancelled. It is kilojoule per second. Kilojoule per second is nothing but kilowatt. So this is the heat gained by the air in the air conditioning room. It is a simple problem, simple steady flow energy equation problem, but the problem is it little bit lengthy, but it is not tough. It is not tough problem. It is a simple problem. So this is the heat gain, that is 4.977 kilowatts. Now let us solve this problem. The fundamental thermodynamic relation for a rubber band. He said rubber band. Okay. Du is equal to TdS. Du is equal to TdS plus tau dL. This is the given equation. T is absolute temperature and S is the entropy, tau is the tension in the rubber band and L is the length of the rubber band. Which of the following relations are correct? We have seen thermodynamic relations. We have seen in thermodynamic relations, I have given Maxwell's equations. In Maxwell equations, I have explained one concept. So the given equation I am writing, du is equal to TdS plus du is equal to TdS plus tau dL. So this is the given equation. So he said U is internal energy, S is entropy, T is the temperature and tau is the tension and L is the length. So U is internal energy in the rubber band. U is internal energy of the rubber band. Tau is tension in the rubber band. L is length of the rubber band. S is entropy. T is temperature. So this equation, it is something like dz is equal to mdx plus ndy. Dz is equal to mdx plus n dy. In thermodynamic relations, I have explained. The given equation is something like exact differential equation. What we can write, dou m by dou y at constant x is equal to dou n by dou x at constant y. Let's compare both the equations. So here, u is z, t is m, s is x, tau is n, and L is y. I'm comparing both the equations. Now writing Z is equal to U. Z is equal to U. M is equal to T. M is equal to T. X is equal to S. X is equal to S. And M is equal to T over M is equal to T. M is equal to T. We have written M is equal to T. Now X is equal to S. N is equal to tau. N is equal to tau. N is equal to tau. Y is equal to L. And Y is equal to L. Okay. So the given equation, it is something like exact differential equation. What we can write, dou m by dou y. Dou m by dou y at constant x is equal to dou n by dou x at constant y. So everything we have everything. Now let us substitute. We have everything. Now I am going to substitute. Dou m. What is m? M is equal to t. Dou t. Y. What is y? Y is equal to L. Y is equal to L. X. What is x? X is equal to S, entropy. X is equal to S. Dou n. What is n? N is equal to tau. N is equal to tau by dou x. X is entropy. Dou S. Y. Y is equal to L. Y is equal to L. So this is the thermodynamic relation we are getting. This is the thermodynamic relation we are getting for the given equation. du is equal to TdS plus tau dl. For the given thermodynamic relation, for the given equation, this is the thermodynamic relation. It is a simple, straight question. So in the Maxwell equations, 4 Maxwell equations have derived. In the derivations of Maxwell equations, we have followed the same process. So same question directly given in the problem. So now let us check the options. 4 options are given. So dou T by dou L at constant entropy. Dou T by dou L at constant entropy. It is available in the first option only. Now let's take right hand side. Dou tau by dou S at constant L. Dou tau by dou S at constant L. In the first option only it is available. Remaining options also you can check it. B, C, D also you can check it. So this, for this problem, answer is option A. Straight away, answer is option A. So whatever we have written here, this is available in the option A. Straight away, is asking which of the following relations are correct. Option A is the correct answer. It is a straight, simple problem based on thermodynamic relations, which we have studied. Now let us solve this problem in the vicinity of the triple point. He said triple point. The equation of liquid vapor boundary. He said liquid vapor boundary. In the PT diagram, phase diagram, which is also called phase diagram, I have explained in properties of pure substance. PT diagram I have explained. That is also called phase diagram. For ammonia is given. This is the given equation. Ln P is equal to, some equation is given where P is pressure in Pascal and T is temperature in Kelvin. Temperature is Kelvin. Observe here, temperature is Kelvin. Similarly, solid vapor boundary. The solid vapor boundary is given, the equation is given by, some equation is given, Ln P, some equation is given where the temperature at the triple point is dash Kelvin. Temperature to be calculated in the Kelvin. My dear students, please observe carefully. I have given TT diagram, pressure temperature diagram for a pure substance, which is also called phase diagram. I have given like this. In properties of pure substance, we have studied like this. And this point is called triple point. This is solid region, this is liquid region, this is vapor region. So, what is triple point? It is a point at which all the phases, all three phases coexist in equilibrium. We have discussed. Triple point we have discussed. So, all solid, liquid, vapor, all phases exist in equilibrium. That point is called triple point. So, this is the PT diagram. So, in the problem he said, liquid vapor boundary, some equation is given. In the liquid vapor boundary, liquid vapor, this is liquid, this is vapor. So, in the liquid vapor boundary, some equation is given. And solid vapor boundary also some equation is given. This is solid and this is vapor. Solid vapor boundary also he has given equation. He said vicinity, in the vicinity of triple point. In the vicinity of triple point, that is at near to the triple point, liquid vapor equation is given and solid vapor also equation is given. And at a triple point, the properties are fixed properties. I have told at triple point, the pressure is fixed pressure. The temperature is also fixed temperature because it is a fixed point. Triple point is a fixed point where the pressure, temperature are fixed. At this particular point, the pressure is fixed pressure and the temperature is also fixed temperature for a given substance. Underline given substance in the mind. For a given substance, at this point, the temperature is fixed temperature, pressure is also fixed temperature. I think it is clear to you. Hope it is clear. Different substances, different PT diagrams will be there. I have given PT diagram for the water. I have given PT diagram, pressure temperature diagram for the water, but in the problem, he has given ammonia. The problem, he has given ammonia. Whatever may be the substance, that is not the matter here. Whatever may be the substance, at triple point, fixed temperature will be there, fixed pressure will be there. He said at vicinity of the triple point. So, that is nearby triple point. At triple point, the pressure will be fixed pressure and temperature will be fixed temperature. This is the pressure at triple point. Okay. At this point, at triple point, the pressure will be fixed pressure. It has fixed value. Different substances, different values will be different. For water, that is triple point temperature for water 0.01 degrees centigrade. That is for water. For ammonia, it will be different. For different substances, different triple point will be there. But here, the question is not what is the temperature. It is not what is the temperature at this point. Temperature water I have given. For likewise, different substances will have different temperatures, and similarly for different substance, different pressures will be there. For water, temperature is 0.01 degrees centigrade and pressure is 0.61 kilopascal. 0.61 kilopascal for water I have given. And here the point is that at this point, pressure will be fixed pressure, temperature will be fixed pressure. Okay, I think this point is clear. Pressure will be constant. Pressure is constant at this point. Constant means fixed pressure will be there. Now, there are two equations. In this problem, there are two equations. So, Ln P, this is one equation, and here Ln P, one more equation. P is pressure at vicinity of the triple point. At triple point, pressure is fixed pressure. Left hand side same. Okay, anyway, let us write the equations. First equation, Ln P is equal to to 24.38, 24.38 minus 3063 by T. 3063 by T. 3063 by second equation, ln P is equal to 27.92 minus 3754. 3754 by T. 3754 by T. So there are two equations given in the problem. So pressure is a fixed pressure. At triple point pressure is fixed pressure. Let us say this is equation 1 and this is equation number 2. There are two equations. So here left hand side pressure is fixed pressure. At triple point pressure is fixed pressure. Left hand side LNP same. These two are same. LNP are same. Left hand side same, we can equate right hand side. Since left hand side same, we can equate right hand side. So now I am going to equate both 1 and 2, 24.38, 24.38 minus 3063. 3063 by T, 27.92, 27.92 minus 3754, 3754 by T. Since left hand side same, we have equated right hand sides. Over, problem is over. Problem is over. It is a simple problem only. It is a simple problem only. A triple point fixed pressure, so therefore we have equated both. So only and only is temperature. This temperature is going to be the triple point temperature. This temperature is going to be at triple point temperature. See, if the pressure is triple point pressure, this temperature is the corresponding temperature for the pressure. Once again, I repeat. See, corresponding to this pressure, this is the temperature. So if the pressure is if the pressure is triple point pressure, the temperature is corresponding to triple point pressure. So what is this temperature? Triple point temperature. So similarly, this equation also same. So if the pressure is triple point pressure, the temperature is going to be triple point temperature. So here is asking triple point temperature. Is asking triple point temperature. So this temperature is going to be triple point temperature. So everything we have in this equation only and only is temperature, and he said this temperature is in Kelvin. Temperature is in Kelvin. He said in this equation T is Kelvin temperature. So final temperature also we have to calculate in Kelvin temperature only. So now if you calculate, this temperature is going to be in Kelvin only. This temperature, if you calculate, this is going to be 195.19 Kelvin. It is also a simple problem, but only thing is that you should understand at a triple point pressure is a fixed pressure. So therefore, we can calculate the temperature. Hope this problem is clear to you. Till now, I have given the detailed solutions for thermodynamics, for mechanical engineering. And my dear students, if you observe the questions which were asked in the GATE examination 21 in mechanical engineering, most of the questions, maximum number of questions which have been asked from our deep learn session only. Whatever the concepts which we have studied in the deep learn session, which I have given, maximum concepts are taken and they have been given in the examination, GATE examination. So it's my suggestion to you people. Again, if you have any doubts, you can go through the concepts in the deep learn, and maximum concepts I have covered in deep learn thermodynamics. So these concepts, from these concepts, maximum number of questions are taken in the GATE examination. So whatever we have covered, that is extremely important, and I have covered each and every concept in the detailed manner. So my advice is to you people is, please go through the deep learn thermodynamics classes. If you have any doubt, you can contact so that your doubts can be cleared off. So hope you understood all these solutions, and all the best.